itself has about 14 different properties around Visalia, including our thrift operations. Right here is our thrift operations warehouse with our admin office. You see our new community center, gym, chapel. There's our men's area down there for Next Steps, men's recovery program. We also have a women's and children's shelter and a women's recovery program over in Houston and Burke. So there's a lot of different things that the mission does. We're excited to have you on property. If anybody has any questions or wants a quick tour, come find a rescue mission worker and we can certainly do that for you today or set it up another time for you to come out and do that. The garden is a really unique thing for the mission. We had some extra land about 4 or 5 years ago when we moved into this building. We moved into this building about 5.5 years ago, and then we had this extra plot of land and didn't really know exactly what we were going to do with it. We had some volunteers come on board, start up a little garden team, and with that we were feeding our kitchen where we serve about 500 meals a day, 365 days a year just down the road, and we were handing it out to the community, and that's kind of how we were utilizing the produce that came from the garden. Over the past couple of years, the garden's really taken off, specifically this past year. So we have a lot more produce than we know what to do with. We're really excited about the mission market. Every purchase that you make from the market will go directly back into funding the Visalia Rescue Missions programs. So when you buy, $2 worth of fruit that you get to take home that's grown right here on our property, you're actually clothing, sheltering, feeding somebody over at our shelter for a night, okay? So I'm gonna have Lindsay Baldwin, who's our volunteer coordinator, and she's kind of leading the charge on the mission market. We have a full-time intern she's gonna talk and introduce you to, and she's gonna tell you a little bit about it and what goes on here, okay?
Thanks, Jessica. Wow, this is such a great turnout today. Thanks, you guys. Just applause to you for coming out and making time in your schedule. We appreciate it. To the back of a warehouse with some easy ups and a bunch of vegetables. We appreciate it. So I've just been here for 2 years. This garden's actually been here longer than I have. It was established by a group of volunteers about 4 years ago who had some vision for this space back here behind the warehouse. We moved in here for thrift reasons and extra office space, and then we had this leftover almost 2 acres back here that used to be a rock yard. So the soil's fairly challenging. So we like to think of this as a real picture of restoration because now there's things that are life-giving growing out of what was once just a rock yard here. So there's several people that are credited to this actually being successful today. So some of those original volunteers are still involved, and some sort of made a big investment and moved on to some other things. But several of the perimeter stone fruit trees and grapevines and blackberry vines were planted several years ago. So the fact that we're able to sell those today is a lot of thanks to them, along with the initial irrigation main lines and everything. So the reason we started selling produce here, some folks ask, does all of this go to the kitchen? How does this work? So last year we actually began harvesting vegetables out of here sort of officially for the first time with some significant size, and we realized, wow, we're harvesting more than the kitchen can put to use. This is our kitchen manager right here, Ken Matney. He does such a great job of developing relationships in the community with our grocery partners and restaurants. We actually have a part-time employee that works every day of the week picking up donations for about 4 hours. So they have so much resource and so much to put to use in feeding our guests that we were harvesting more than they could put to use. And we saw a challenge of things either going to waste or being another resource for the mission. So we decided it should become another social enterprise like our thrift store, where there's the involvement of our guests to benefit our guests. So we've actually partnered with our Next Steps program, which is men who are currently homeless working their way off the street into a job or housing for a variety of reasons and life circumstances. We have one employee in the garden right now who has a lot of agricultural experience in his background, and 2 to 3 other volunteers for our Next Steps program who are responsible for keeping this green, watered. All the produce you see up here is really a result of their hard work every day out here in the garden in the sun and weeding and dealing with pests and everything. So the reason that everything's beautiful is really because of their hard work. So I'd like to give them a round of applause. And this is Jose on the left here with Anagana. And then is Richard. I don't know Richard's last name yet, but Richard right here in the cowboy hat. And then also Manuel. Manuel out in the back. And then I'd also like to give a shout out to Chad Field here in the aqua shirt. You can raise your hand, probably I'm not paying attention, but our garden's also managed by a team of what we call high impact volunteers. So people who give a sort of dedicated amount of time, investment of time as a volunteer. We have 3 gentlemen, Ron Colburn, Josh Bergman, and Chad Field, who give their time to provide oversight. And help try and network and connect us to resources like, you know, compost and plants and irrigation supplies and troubleshooting pests and things like that that, you know, we might not know how to do on our own. So Chad's put in an incredible amount of time out here, including building these beautiful boxes for the produce stands. He gives a lot of supervision and management and direction to the guys working in the garden. And then lastly, we're excited to have an intern this summer and this fall. This is Jade Moray. Jade's with us from Iowa. So she emailed us earlier this spring. She's an agriculture and emissions major from a college out in Iowa called Dorr College, and wanted to give her time to get some hands-on experience. She worked for a community CSA like our Family Farm Fresh back in Denver last summer. So she's out here volunteering her time. She's going to be running the produce stand, and she has way more experience than we do, so we're very thankful to have her. But yeah, essentially we're excited to be open. All of our proceeds will go directly to benefit the Visalia Rescue Mission. So everything you purchase here, just like everything in our thrift store, comes right back to the Visalia Rescue Mission. We're thankful to be able to have pretty low overhead in our gardens, so we're trying to set our prices reasonably and provide a really good product. We'll be open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Stop by and see us and buy some produce. Yay. Thanks.